Children, in our last video on metals and non-metals, we have learnt quite a bit about their physical properties. When we explain a chemical, we always look into the properties of that substance or material from two angles. One is the physical properties, the other one is the chemical properties. Physical properties we learnt in detail in the last video. Today, let us concentrate on the chemical properties of metals and non-metals. First of all, let me start with iron. Iron. These are iron nails. These are also iron nails. But you find a difference between the two. You find a difference between the two. See, you see these two iron nails and these two iron nails. These are bright. They have a shine. They are lustrous. They have a luster. But these are not lustrous. They don't have a luster. A new window which has been painted, iron window, after a year, 2 or 3, the paint goes away, and if you don't paint it again properly, it will look very bad. Now this is the condition. What is it actually? In our common language we say, iron has rusted. Iron has rusted. Rust. If you take a paper piece and go on rubbing, you get some brown impurity. Here you don't have it. What happens actually? Iron, in the presence of water vapor, combines with the oxygen and forms iron oxide. Iron with moisture and oxygen transforms itself into iron oxide. This iron oxide is called as rust. Rust. Rust destroys iron. That's why things made up of iron, we keep them painted. We have to somehow cut off the water and oxygen supplied to the iron. There should be a shield in between. What's that shield? The paint. The paint is the shield. It doesn't allow water to come in contact with iron, oxygen to come in contact with iron. Iron is safe now. This experiment you can do at home. I won't do it here, no doubt. I got them rusted here. You take some new nails, iron nails. A few nails keep aside. The rest few nails you put in water. You keep them soaked in water. A day or two enough. Iron which has got soaked in water would have got rusted. You can feel it, find it. Old iron rods, old iron objects in the house, if you take them, they would have got rusted. Those iron objects and tools which you don't use, you keep them in a corner, they too get rusted. One way of preventing iron from getting rusted is to use it constantly. Keep it using, and after every usage, say in the field, agricultural field or the garden, you clean the shovel or the iron tools, whatever you have used, wipe them out with a cloth if possible, or allow them to give out all the water content they should trip out. So keep it in a slanted position in a corner, leave it. But if you leave the iron objects in open rain, open field, they get rusted. They should not be left in the open rain. Alright, this is about iron. Iron combines with oxygen to give iron oxide. This is a burning reaction. Whenever oxygen combines with an element, chemically combines, you call it as burning. Burning keeps taking place in our lungs. Burning takes place when you put up a fire for all waste paper and such items put together and you light it. There will be a fire. Here too there is a fire. This is a mild fire. That's why your body is warm. The warmth that has got produced here as the burning goes on keeps the entire body warm. So this is a burning reaction. It burns. Iron burns in oxygen to give iron oxide. Now let us conduct another experiment. We took iron then, now we take magnesium. For lab purposes, we get magnesium in the form of a ribbon. This is called magnesium ribbon. It's a metal, no? It's beaten, it has been drawn into a thin ribbon. And I have cut a small piece from this for experimental purpose. Now we burn magnesium ribbon. We burn magnesium. Let me fold it. See, how does it burn? How does magnesium burn? Just keep observing. It burns very, very bright. Magnesium burns in oxygen in the air. Magnesium burns taking oxygen from the air, and the chemical that is formed is magnesium oxide. Magnesium plus oxygen, that's burning, gives us magnesium oxide. So what we got here in the form of this powder, it is magnesium oxide. Any burning takes in oxygen. Here too it's the same thing. So we get oxide of magnesium. So this is how a metal behaves. Here it's an extreme case. It gives bright, white, dazzling color. Now let us take up the case of copper, another metal. See, vessels that are being used in the kitchen, copper vessels. In olden days we used to use lot of copper vessels, but nowadays with the steel encroaching its place, usage of copper vessels has gone down. Aluminum vessels are being used, steel vessels are used, copper vessels we don't use that much nowadays. But still, when large scale cooking is done, copper vessels are used. But copper vessels, they get a bluish green material collected on the interior. A copper vessel that is used continuously, exposed to water and air, gets a bluish tinge inside. Sometimes if you scratch, you get a bluish green material too. That is copper sulfate. Copper sulfate. Here I have copper sulfate for you to see. This is what gets collected there. It is a poisonous material. So we should not use copper vessels where there is a bluish green collection inside. If that is the case, you have to take it to the tinker and get tin coating done. Tin coating inside, he will get it done for you. For another 1 year, the vessel will be safe for you. Every year you have to get the tin coating made. Here I have made a solution of copper sulfate. I have taken some water, half a spoon of copper sulfate, I have got it dissolved in water. So I have got copper sulfate solution, CuSO4, that is copper sulfate. Now let me take a key made of iron key. This is iron key. It has luster, its own luster. It is a metallic color. I put it in this. In the meanwhile, let me take one more iron rod, iron strip, that too I will place it here in this. Yeah. For half a minute, let's keep. Let's see if any changes taken place. See the change? Can you make out? Few seconds are enough. Within those few seconds, you have got a copper plating here on an iron object. A copper plating is there. From where did copper come? Copper came from the copper sulfate solution. A displacement reaction took place. Copper sulfate solution, copper sulfate plus iron, Fe, iron. The resultant products were iron sulfate plus copper. Copper got separated from the copper sulfate solution. That brought a cover. A cover got formed, copper cover got formed on the iron key. If you keep it for one whole day, you will get a beautiful coating. This is actually the principle behind copper plating. If you can pass electricity too, the process will be still faster and you get a uniform covering then. You have to clean the iron object well with sandpaper, clean it well, then introduce it into copper sulfate solution. Let me take this. You can see patches of copper collected there. Do you see? In that part which was submerged in water, copper sulfate solution, you have the copper collected. See, these are the reactions you find in the case of metals. All metals are active. When their oxides are made into solutions, or in the case of copper, it's copper sulfate, and you bring in contact with another metal, you will be able to get the plating. So far, all the experiments we conducted were with metals. We experimented with metals. Now, we will take a non-metal, because we want to compare metals with non-metals. Metals are hard, non-metals are not. Let me take an example. This is sulfur. It's yellow in color. Sulfur is yellow in color. See, sulfur granules are here in this bottle. Now we have to burn sulfur in the fire. You have to burn it. How shall we burn? Let me take the deflagrating spoon. I am introducing different scientific tools for you. You can make your own deflagrating spoon. I have taken the lid of some bottle. Lid of a bottle. I have taken an aluminium wire and wind it round the lid and tighten it here and here you make it into a hook, this deflagrating spoon. You can burn it easily. Put sulfur in this, burn it. If you want to introduce into a jar and catch hold of the sulfur dioxide, you can do that. Here, when you burn sulfur, you get a gas. Sulfur starts burning with the blue flame. Blue flame, you will observe now, you get sulfur dioxide. Shall we do? Whenever you take all these chemicals, you have to be very, very economic. One thing is, you should not waste chemicals. Number two, unnecessarily you should not inhale the fumes of that gas. For experimental purpose, fine. You should not go beyond the parameters. I have taken sulfur here in the deflagrating spoon. It's an improvised one. It's not a purchased one, improvised one. Let me burn. Let me heat it now. You can use a spirit lamp. I have used a candle here. But in your houses you may not have a spirit lamp. In labs you have spirit lamps. See the blue flame? I'll put a few more granules. The flame is there already. It's burning. Blue flame is there. Sulfur dioxide that gets produced is a very irritating gas. Now we will take up sodium. Sodium is a metal. Sodium is a metal. It is not as hard as aluminium, copper or iron. Comparatively, it is not that hard. Now here I have sodium metal. Sodium reacts vigorously with water. So you have to be very careful as these experiments get conducted. When sodium comes in contact with water, there is vigorous reaction. Sometimes light explosions can be there. Very interesting. Usually metals don't react with water. But sodium reacts vigorously. Sodium, potassium, phosphorus, these are all reactive metals. How is it kept here? Sodium pieces are covered with paraffin, paraffin wax, fully blocked from coming in contact with moisture in the air. So what do they do? Sodium pieces are covered absolutely on all sides with paraffin wax and they are preserved. Now if I keep the lid open for some time, even though they have been packed like that, you will start smoke coming out. There is moisture in the air, atmosphere. That moisture is enough. Sodium will pick it up and start reacting. So you have to keep the lid tight. Unnecessarily you should not keep the bottle open. And as you require, you take one slice of sodium out and cut it into small pieces. On a wooden piece or a stone, you can keep it and cut it with a knife carefully. But at no time you can touch sodium. You should not. Use the pincer or you use the knife, but don't handle it with your bare hands because your hands contain moisture. The tissues here, they have moisture. Vigorous reaction will take place. You will have deep wounds then. So be very careful. Don't try to touch at all. Now when you take out a piece, you can't keep it in atmosphere for a long time. Again it catches fire. Moisture in the atmosphere is enough. So you have to keep it in kerosene. In a bowl, we have taken kerosene and that piece cut into smaller pieces, granules, it is put here. I have about 5-6 pieces here. You can pick them up one by one and leave them on water. Shall we see what happens? Sodium is a shining metal. It shines. The metal shines. If I hold it like this for half a minute now, smoke starts coming out. See? It has started smoking already. See how does it behave? Do you see that sodium granule moving around? In the meanwhile, don't allow it to touch the glass because the heat produced may make your glass break. See how active and vigorous it is. Ultimately, you saw a flick of fire too. Very interesting. We always think water can put a fire down. Here you have a substance in nature which reacts with water. I will put one more piece for you to observe. Never go for big pieces. You have to cut them into small slices and try. If you put a big piece, there can be an accident. The trough may break, there can be an explosion. So keep yourselves away. Don't have your face right above the trough. Be at a distance. See now. See again, vigorous reaction. Oh. Don't allow the sodium metal to get stuck to the trough at any place. Just move it away, move it away. Now, as sodium reacts with water, it's a chemical reaction. It reacts with water. Hydrogen gets produced. You may ask, from where did hydrogen come? Water is H2O. 2 parts of hydrogen, 1 part of oxygen have got chemically combined to form water. So in water you have hydrogen, you have oxygen. 2 gases have merged and a liquid has got formed. Liquid at room temperature, water. Water can turn into solid or gas, that's a different thing. Now hydrogen which is there in water is released as sodium starts acting with water. A granule of sodium, when it comes in contact with water, we saw vigorous reaction. And the water turns into sodium hydroxide. To begin with, we get sodium oxide. Sodium oxide immediately dissolves in water. You get sodium hydroxide. I have sodium hydroxide solution here. Let us see how sodium hydroxide reacts with litmus. Now all these metallic oxides we get from metals. It may be iron oxide, aluminum oxide, or copper sulfate solution, or as I said now, sodium hydroxide. They are all basic oxides. Basic oxides. Let me take a test tube and take some sodium hydroxide in it. Yeah. Now this is blue litmus paper. This is red litmus paper. Let me introduce red litmus paper here. See the change. The red litmus paper has turned into blue color. All metallic oxides, they change red litmus into blue litmus, red to blue, metallic oxides. Now let us take the example of a non-metal. See, I have dilute hydrochloric acid. Chlorine. Chlorine is a gas. In the previous video I have told you, there are some metals. Other than metals, everything is a non-metal. So chlorine is a non-metal, it's a gas. Hydrogen is a gas. Oxygen is a gas. Nitrogen is a gas. Now, chlorine, when it gets dissolved in water, chlorine is dissolved in water, you get hydrochloric acid, HCl. H stands for water, Cl stands for chlorine. I have diluted acid. You have to be very careful, children. Don't have fun with these acids. Acids corrode. Acids cause lot of damage to your body if they come in contact with. I have taken very dilute hydrochloric acid. I got the solution specially made for this class now. Let me take hydrochloric acid in a test tube. Before that, let me put the blue litmus ribbon into it already, because I don't like to shake it. As I shook the other one. See, even the soap you use for bathing, that's a base. That's a base. You get it soapy. That's a characteristic of a base. Acids burn. Let me take the acid here, dilute acid. I have put a blue litmus base inside. Yeah. Already the reaction must have taken. You can see the change in color. The blue litmus paper has turned into pink, red. Even acid, as it started flowing in, it came in contact with litmus paper. You can see the difference. Acids turn blue litmus into red. Bases turn red litmus paper into blue. The reactions are just the opposite. Right? Children, we have seen that metals don't react with water very much. But when water has become acidic, or acids like sulfuric acid, nitric acid, hydrochloric acid, they are diluted. They act very well with those dilute acids. Metals react with dilute hydrochloric acid and release the hydrogen thereon. Let's conduct an experiment where aluminium reacts with hydrochloric acid dilute and gives out hydrogen. You all know the test for hydrogen, I presume. Hydrogen produced in a test tube, when it's brought near a flame, it burns with a pop sound. Hydrogen gets mixed with air and it burns. Few thin droplets of water may get formed, and suddenly when hydrogen and oxygen in the air, they come together and they transform into liquid, water. There will be an explosion. That explosion itself is pop, that pop sound you get. Shall we do? I have taken the test tube here. I have aluminum turnings here. Have a look at the aluminum turnings. Pieces of aluminum, that's all. We call them as turnings. I'll take a few turnings here. Yeah. I have dilute hydrochloric acid here. Dilute acid is one where water content is more. The reaction is vigorous, you can see. Keep observing. I close the mouth because I want to capture the gas. See here. See, hydrogen is burning. Do you see the flame? This is the reaction. Aluminium reacts with the dilute hydrochloric acid to give out hydrogen. Hydrogen gets evolved. It starts coming out of the test tube. And I held it by holding the mouth tight with my thumb. Now I brought the test tube near the flame. Hydrogen got mixed up with air, oxygen. The two are always an explosive mixture. It caught fire. A little quantity of water got formed when hydrogen and oxygen came together. It is an explosion actually. Sudden reduction in volume. Pop sound got produced. And this is how metals react on coming into contact with acids.